welcome back to the Trust Your Worth podcast, the podcast that helps you tap into the power of knowing your worth. My name is Brittany, and thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. I won't lie, I've been avoiding this one because I am a people pleaser myself. Recovering people pleaser, as they say. But before we get into the episode, last week I talked about kindness and how it can be very healing. There are many even physiological and psychological benefits to being kind. So if that's something you want to learn more about, check out last week's episode, season 3, episode 22. Okay, people pleasers of the world unite. As I said before, I've been avoiding this episode because I didn't want to self-reflect and deal with the many things that have caused me to people please. But I hope as I share some of the things that I've been through, it might be helpful to you all. So let's get into today's episode. So, of course, what is a people pleaser? Well, it is someone who disregards their own needs in order to please others. But at the core of it are several things. One of them being self-abandonment, or that lack of worth that you may feel. But one of the main things is a fear of abandonment, that if you do not appease those around you or please them, then they will have no reason for you to be in their lives, which is not true. You have many things to contribute besides meeting other people's needs. And so we're going to talk about some of those things. People pleasing can be a response to trauma. Many people who have been abused use the trauma response of fawning. Fawning is people pleasing to settle conflicts and maintain the approval of others in relationships. So sometimes it's literally about safety, that the safest thing to do to de-escalate a situation is just to do what the person wants you to do. And sometimes that is all somebody can do in order to get out of a situation safely. So it is a form of people pleasing that is caused by trauma. So there are many reasons people do people please. There's 2 articles that I am talking about today, so I will link them in the show notes. Again, please read them. They're so good and they're so helpful. If you want to go more in depth, definitely check out these articles. So the first one, they talk about examples of people pleasing behavior, so I'm just going to list some of those. So making attempts to avoid abandonment, conforming to harmful behaviors, disregarding your self-interest for the sake of others, experiencing anxiety about perceived abandonment, attempting to maintain closeness by self-sacrificing, telling others what they want to hear just to avoid conflict, accepting invitations to do things you may not want to do, having challenges with advocating for your own needs, exhibiting a lack of personal boundaries, perceiving that you're likable only if you continue to meet others' needs, apologizing excessively to others, rarely expressing criticism, and rarely disagreeing with others. So if you have done or do these a lot, then you're probably a people pleaser. And while on the surface and like maybe once in a while, these aren't very harmful, if they continue, they can turn into harmful behaviors, not only for you, but for others as well. Let me just touch on some of these that I've experienced. I've definitely disregarded my self-interests for the sake of others. I have definitely fawned to avoid conflict, to get out and to feel safe again. I've definitely had situations where I've just don't want to fight anymore, so I just give in, and then resentment happens, and then I'm even more angry, and I've definitely said yes to things that I didn't want to do and did them anyways and was mad and sad later. And all this bad juju energy has just been stored up in me because I didn't say no to things I know I should have said no to. And the core for me personally was that I believed I wasn't worthy if I wasn't serving others. I believed that my purpose was to help others be happy. I didn't think I could. I didn't think I deserved to be happy. But once I learned and really knew that my happiness matters too, that my dreams matter too, I was able to be stronger, and I was able to say no to a lot more things that I definitely didn't want to do. Even now, it's I'm not perfect at it. I'm still learning, but I do try. I like being nice. I like being kind, but when it costs me my happiness, then it's not worth it. And I think people appreciate honesty more rather than just being like, "Oh no, it's okay. I'm fine. Like let's just do whatever you want to do to avoid conflict," or just feeling like you're going to disappoint people if you say no, which you might, but that's not on you. Like if you don't have the tokens, then they can learn to deal with their disappointment, but your happiness and your sanity is more important than maybe just like going out to play volleyball or something for a night. Like there is a fine balance between like personal needs and also like, yes, doing things that are inconvenient to show up for people. But I know that you're a smart person. So I know that you can discern when you do have the tokens and when it's important to show up for people, even when it's inconvenient to you. Like if you don't want to, but it's important and it means a lot to somebody else. Like in order to keep your relationships, like sometimes that will happen. But only you can discern and decide when to say no and when to say yes. For me, an easy example would be ice skating. I don't want to do it. If you invite me, I will say no because I really just have no desire to do it. Or maybe I'll say, I'd love to come with y'all, but I won't ice skate. Like I'll be there in support and just like to hang, but I'm not gonna personally ice skate because I don't want to do it. It doesn't make me happy. It doesn't bring me joy. I think the people that have invited me, I love and I appreciate them. So if I can't show up for the ice skating activity, we can definitely find something we both want to do. That's totally fine. So for me, that's a boundary that I'm setting because I know if I go ice skating, I will be miserable. And I love myself enough to know that I don't want to be miserable and that my happiness matters too. So we can just do something else that we both like. And I won't lose relationships, hopefully. And if I lose those relationships anyways, like they weren't for me, like if you're going to be pissed at me for not just ice skating, then there's another issue there. But I hope this helps you see that you can say no and you can set boundaries, especially when you feel resentment. That is a sign that you should probably say no. Like if you are going to be mad and angry doing what you said yes to, then you probably should have said no. So take that as a sign to help you navigate knowing if you should say yes to things or saying no to things. One of the big reasons why people self-abandon is because they don't believe they're worthy if they aren't being useful to other people. And I was in that boat. I didn't believe that I was of any worth unless I was like adding to your life and making you happy. And that made me lost a lot because I started doing what my friends wanted to do, and they weren't always things that I necessarily liked doing. And I did it because I was afraid that if I said no and I disappointed someone for saying no, that they would stop loving me, that they would abandon me, that they would stop being my friend. And thankfully, I still have amazing friends, and they haven't abandoned me for saying no to things because they're true friends. And if one conflict ends your relationship, then it wasn't a good relationship for you. So it may be scary to say no sometimes. Like I still struggle sometimes. It may be scary to stick up for yourself, but you need to advocate for yourself. I remember I was frustrated about a work thing. I am in a family company, so I was talking to my mom about it, and I won't lie, I was thinking, like, if I tell mom, she's going to talk to the company and I'll get what I want. I think it was just like I was traveling too much or whatever, and then she was like, you need to tell them that it bothers you. You need to say no and you need to stick up for yourself. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I do. And I did stick up for myself, and have a better schedule now because I do say no to things that will not work for me. Since then, I have advocated for myself, and I have made sure that my voice is heard, and sometimes I don't always get what I want, but at least I know I can have peace that I did fight for what I wanted. And I can have peace knowing that I stood up for myself and my needs and what is important to me so that I can work and be happy and continue to do my job. So stick up for yourself, okay? We haven't gone... Let me get into this second article. This is by Eileen Strauss Cohen, a PhD from Psychology Today. And the article is titled How I Learned to Stop Being a People Pleaser. So that's really what I want to talk today about, because you can change. If I can change, you can too. I used to be a doormat. If you wanted anything, ask me. I would have gotten it done for you. But now I love myself to know that my time and energy is important too. So I will help you if I want to, and I have the tokens. That is the main difference now, is if I want to or not. And I am more than happy to say no if I just don't want to now. So Eileen talks about being a people pleaser for most of her life. And she gives us some things we can do to stop people pleasing. So let's get into some of these. Okay, so become self-aware. I think I'm just going to summarize kind of this, but she talks about looking at ourselves with interest and respect instead of judgment and denial. And I feel like people pleasing did come with a lot of judgment, that like if I didn't say yes to them, the judgment was that I'm a bad person. Like I felt like a bad person for not helping someone I could have helped or I should help, even though I didn't want to at the time, or I just like didn't have the time to, like where my needs were put on the back burner for someone else. Then it came with a judgment and denial of me, of who I was. Because one of the big parts of me is that I like to help people. It's an important part of me, and it doesn't mean I have to stop doing that completely. It just means I have to do it in a way where I don't deny myself and my happiness. But I think really what she's saying is you need to know yourself, because lots of people pleasers tend to get lost in who they're around and other people's needs, that they take a look and like, I don't even know who I am anymore. So you need to take time to get to know who you are and what you actually like. Ask yourself, like, do I actually like Hello Kitty, or do I like it because my friend likes it and I just want to please them too? So things like that, like really asking yourself, is it because of them and what they think of me, or is it because I really like it? And I found out I really like Hello Kitty. If you can't tell by my fit today, my Hello Kitty jersey. Just want to bring her into all of my episodes if I can. But yeah, just become self-aware that if you are people pleasing and start to recognize like, oh, wait, like taking a breath and being like, oh, do I really want to do this, or am I doing it to please others? Okay, I like what she says here about doing too much for others can hurt the relationship. So she says, I learned that when you do too much for others, you overfunction in your relationships, which inevitably leads others to underfunction. Though my intentions were good, they ultimately hinder the overall effectiveness of my relationships. Oh, put that in lights. That happened to me where I felt like I was doing everything. Like the relationship felt so one-sided and not reciprocal. And I made it that way. Like I was like, no, I can do it because I'm the server here. I'm the one who you need, not I need you. I couldn't need other people because I was independent and whatnot. No, and this led to unbalanced relationships. And eventually I either lost those relationships or had to step back and reassess and change how I showed up in certain relationships, because I felt like I wasn't getting the same thing that they were getting, or they just relied on me too much. And that was a burden too sometimes, where it's just like, I'm doing all of your stuff right now and I can't even do my stuff. I have no time because I'm just focused on you. So yeah, over and under functioning can happen in relationships if you do show up too much. So try to find a better balance. If you're struggling with that, just again, be self-aware and assess the relationship. Learn to have more reciprocal relationships. And that's going to take boundaries by learning when to say yes and learning when to say no. Okay, next, understand the importance of being authentic. So when you say yes, but you want to say no, you're showing up inauthentically. You are not being you. You are not being your truest self. And what is the greatest thing about people who love us is that you can show up as your authentic self. So try to act with authenticity and don't always do what others want. So let's say you're in a group and some peeps want to go out dancing and you're tired and you want to go home. But they're like, come with us. And it's already 2 a.m. and you're just like, I'm tired. I got to work tomorrow. Like, I cannot. It's okay to say, actually, I want to go home tonight. Thank you so much for hanging, but let's hang at a different time. Just try to show up authentically and really take your voice into account when you are showing up to things, and just try and be yourself, okay? Learn to let go. So I'm just going to quote this exactly because I think what she says is really helpful here. So quote, if you're stuck in the past and can't let go of things that happened to you, chances are you're accepting what your abusers, bullies, or other negative people in your life believe about you. You'll remain impressioned by them, never able to access your full potential if you don't learn to let go. I had to learn to let go of all the hateful things people had said to me that had me living in fear of others' disapproval. Oh, this could be so hard. Close quote. This could be so hard. I know, to let go. I still remember things instantly that were so hurtful of people when people were disapproving. I can still remember what I was wearing, how it felt when they were like, nah, that girl's weird, or dismissive of me. Like, I get that can be so scary. Like, we cannot accept what our abusers, our bullies think about us. Absolutely not. Why? Because they're false. They don't know you. They don't know the real you. They don't know the amazing you, the beautiful soul that you are. You cannot believe someone who is hurting you, who is abuse and happiness cannot exist in the same existence ever. She talks about your potential. If we listen to the negative voices, people who don't know us, who don't know anything about us, our true selves, to their judgments about us, then we won't be able to move forward. So try your best to let it go. Try your best to fill that with all of the good about you, all of the amazing things that you are and that you do. Okay, next, realizing that avoiding problems doesn't promote growth. You have to be okay with conflict. You have to learn how to deal with it in healthy ways. You have to be able to have uncomfortable conversations and sit in them as much as you hate them. I cry in a hard conversations. I do. It's okay to cry in those conversations, but I'm grateful that I'm having them because I'm always happier because I didn't hold the truth in. Because when you hold the truth in, it's going to come out no matter what. Eileen talks about how she tried everything in her power to avoid experiencing even the slightest discomfort and pain, which fueled her urge to please. So if you don't deal with your problems, you're just going to have to deal with them later. So try and deal with them when they happen. You will be happier. I can attest to this. I know I've had some hard conversations with some of my good friends, and I avoided it. And for weeks, I was sick to my stomach, and I was ill. I couldn't sleep. I was so worried, and I brought whatever the conflict was up to my friend, and they were like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I was hurting you." And yeah, of course. Like, let's talk this through. Let's figure this out. And I was worried for nothing. I was so scared. So now I do, when things happen, try and bring things up. I'm not perfect at it, but I'm still learning and I'm going to figure it out and get through it. Next, We need to learn self-acceptance. You need to accept your worth. You need to accept that your voice, your dreams, your life, who you are, your boundaries and your needs matter too. You cannot forget yourself in the equation, because if there are two people in the room and if you forgot one person in the room, as in yourself, you're still in the room and you still have to experience what's going on. So try not to forget that you're taking up space, and take up and show up in that space and let people know that you are there, because you matter. And sometimes people need reminders that you matter. We need our own reminders all the time that we matter, because we forget that we are important. And we forget that we can please ourselves just as much as we please other people. And if not more, because you're the one living your life. You have to deal with the consequences of your actions and sometimes other people's actions. And if you're the one experiencing it, then why not try and make it the best life you can by living what you want to do, by creating your own happiness, by showing up for yourself. Okay? So your worth work this week is to not abandon yourself. Your worth work this week is to do something you want to do. Whatever that is. It can be big or small, but do one thing you really want to do just because you want to do it and because it makes you happy. So do something that is going to bring you true joy. For me, what is that going to be? It could be so little, it could be so temporary. For me, that is like going to McDonald's and getting a crispy Coke Zero and some fries, some very hot and salty fries. Or it could be getting more rest. I definitely really want to go to bed right now. It's only 6 o'clock and I can't because I haven't edited this episode. But do something that you want to do that's going to make you really happy, okay? And don't forget that you matter, that you are important. Your needs are just as important as all the needs you're trying to meet. So don't forget yourself. And if no one has told you today, you're worthy of love. You're worthy of not being abandoned. And you're worthy and deserving of happiness. And don't forget to trust your worth. Okay, thanks so much for listening. Have a great day. Love you. Bye.